Chelsea fans, we can finally breathe. Chelsea beat Wolves 3-1 at Stamford Bridge, and it wasn't convincing, but a win is a win. After the recent dip in form, it is so good to see Chelsea pick up 3 points, stay in 4th position of the Premier League, with our next game being Man City. Now, tonight's performance wasn't the best, I will admit, but there were some positives and some negatives to take from it. So in this video, we're going over the 5 things that we learned from Chelsea 3, Wolves 1. Did you know that 90% of the people watching this video right now are currently not subscribed to the channel? So make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. Make sure you join the community, and let's get into the video. The first thing I want to talk about is Robert Sanchez, and honestly, this is going to be a bit of a rant because Robert Sanchez is not fit to be a Premier League goalkeeper. He is absolutely trash. I'm a very optimistic and a very patient Chelsea fan, and I've had enough. Robert Sanchez making mistakes week in, week out, game after game, silly passes, literally throwing the ball in his net tonight against Wolves for a simple catch, which he does 1,000 times in training, during matches. This is his bread and butter as a goalkeeper. Silly mistakes that make him look like a clown. He has the most errors leading to goal in the Premier League. And yes, he has a great save percentage across the league. I don't care, because the amount of mistakes he makes in other areas literally cost us points, cost us games. He cannot be Chelsea's #1 goalkeeper, and I can't wait for the apology tweet from Sanchez later saying, "Oh, sorry, I'll try and do better." I've had enough. Robert Sanchez is not good enough to be Chelsea's #1 goalkeeper. When we bought him from Brighton, he was Brighton's 3rd choice goalkeeper, and that says everything. There was a period where Sanchez was a fantastic keeper in the Premier League. There really was. And when we first signed him, he looked half decent before his injury. But this season, I've given his flowers when it's due, and I've criticised him pretty much all the time because he's been that bad. And I can't take much more of Robert Sanchez because he's just not good enough. I'd much rather Jorgensen play. And yes, Jorgensen has some shaky moments, but he at least can catch a ball, collect a cross, and his distribution is so much better than Sanchez. Sanchez has to go, man. Like, he can't be the #1 for Chelsea after tonight's performance because it's the cherry on top of all the recent performances this season. The amount of points we've dropped due to Sanchez just making silly passes, dropping balls, and putting unnecessary pressure on himself. It's just, yeah, red box for Sanchez. The second thing I want to talk about is Trevor Chala, the missing piece. This guy was everywhere tonight. This guy played like VVD tonight, and that may sound overreactionary, but honestly, he was everywhere. All the blocks, in the air, passing, calm, collected on the ball. This guy knows Chelsea inside and out, and he fits perfectly into that back line. Tosin and Chala together, unbelievably solid tonight. Honestly, I can't count the amount of times Chala made a block when he needed to, or he was in the right place at the right time to defend a cross, or get the ball out of the box, or defend a shot. Also making the simple passes, recovering for people's mistakes. He was absolutely fantastic. He was outstanding, man of the match, well deserved for Trevor Chala. I'm so glad that we've recorded him. I'm hoping that Chelsea Ball can see how good of a player he is, and we keep him in the summer, because honestly, he seems to have been the missing piece in that back line, and it's only been 1 game that he's come back. Could it be like a little purple patch on his return? Potentially. Wolves weren't amazing tonight. They really let themselves down in big parts of this game. But that's nothing to take away from our defensive line, and especially Trevor Chala. He was absolutely fantastic tonight and deserves all the praise, all the flowers, and long may his performances continue. He should have also had a goal tonight, and it would have been thoroughly deserved, but Noni Madueke had to steal it off the line. But the game's a game. Professional football, it's, just get the ball over the line no matter what. But yeah, I kind of feel for Trevor Chala there. He should have got a goal today on his return, but what a performance from the guy. The third thing I want to talk about is the defensive line. It was solid, compact, and cohesive tonight. Yes, there were moments where Cucurella gave the ball away, or, someone was a bit out of possession or out of position at times. But as a unit, they covered for each other, they were solid, and it just looked like a completely different Chelsea. And honestly, if Sanchez hadn't made that mistake today, because it was solely his fault, I think Chelsea would have kept a clean sheet. I really, really do. Any chances that Wolves had, Sanchez did make a save and collect some things. Cool. Nothing really put him at danger or at ease. I think he made 1 good save where it was going into the corner, but it was also swerving away from goal. I think it would have gone wide. But as a defensive line, absolutely stellar. Like, it was just so good. Calm, collected on the ball. Reece James played 75 minutes. We'll talk about him a little bit later in the video, so make sure you keep watching. But he was fantastic tonight. Trevor Chala and Tosin, solid as a partnership tonight, winning everything in the air, everything on the floor. Defensive positioning was spot on. The blocks that were being made, fantastic. Cucurella had a good game, got himself on the score sheet. So even though he may lack at times defensively, offensively he makes up for it and gets on the score sheet. It was a fantastic defensive display from us tonight. And I know people will say that Wolves didn't play very well. And I agree, Wolves didn't play well. But you can only play who's in front of you. And it's a stark difference from the last few games defensively when we've conceded sloppy goals or conceded chances that we could have defended. But having Trevor Chala in that back line has seemed to have changed everything overnight, which is fantastic to see. The fourth thing I want to talk about is Reece James made it to 75 minutes tonight, which seems like such a small feat for the average football fan. But for us Chelsea fans, that is a massive step in Reece James's road to recovery. He had a fantastic game tonight. He was everywhere, made a lot of good blocks, a lot of good tackles, good passes, getting forward, inverting at times. He was fantastic. And it's so good to see Reece going on this run of games where we are managing his minutes, but he's not coming off the pitch injured. He's staying completely injury-free as of right now, which is just so nice to see because this guy's gone through the trenches in a Chelsea shirt with his injuries, coming back, getting injured again, suspensions, etc. It was just so nice to see Reece James have a good game and make it to 75 minutes. That's 15 minutes from a full game, which, again, it may seem like something small, but it's something that deserves to be highlighted. Reece James on his road to recovery, that is massive for him. We have Man City at the weekend, so hopefully he can start and play most of the game again and put in a similar shift because we're going to need it against City. They're going to be up for it, very close in the table now, fighting for fourth spot right now. It's very competitive, but having a player like Reece James fit, ready and available and having some momentum in his game is going to help us tremendously. And before we get into the fifth and final thing that we learned from Chelsea 3, Wolves 1, I have one honourable mention. There was a lot of people I could have spoke about today because it wasn't the best Chelsea performance. But in my opinion, I think Jadon Sancho can completely change a game. He is so silky smooth with his skills. Him and Cucurella and Palmer, the way they link up is unbelievable. And I just love it. It's such a different dynamic. In my prediction, I put to start Sancho, right? And a lot of people say, nah, we want to put Neto, Noni. It's a great winger dynamic. And I agree. But the way the game played out, I don't think Neto was very effective on that left-hand side at all. And when Sancho came on, it clicked. And you had that link up between Cucurella and Palmer. Sancho drifting in, also linking up with Jackson. I just like the way he comes in and changes the game. Or when he starts, he links up and has that intricate play. It's very skillful to hold the ball up or get past the player and find some space for another player to run into. And I feel like when Sancho came on, Palmer was pulled across a bit. That link up was nice with him and also Cucurella. And then Palmer, when he got the ball, was able to turn and get it out to the other side and spray the ball more effectively for more players, making more space down the wide areas. I said the word more a lot there, but you get my point. I think Jadon Sancho had a really good cameo today. His substitute appearance was very, very well. And if he'd have got an assist, it would have made sense. Like, it would have topped his performance. I think he did very well tonight. His link up is fantastic, and the dynamic he brings on that left-hand side, I think, is the best that we've got at the club right now. Honestly, I really like Sancho. He's slowly becoming one of my favourite players. He's just so smooth, and sometimes he is him. You know, yes, he needs to shoot more, but I think his link up and his decisive action when he's making them passes or them runs is spot on. And the fifth and final thing that we learned from Chelsea 3, Wolves 1, is Maresca can use all of his substitutes. There's a green box for him tonight because he actually used all 5 substitutes, which again, it sounds menial, but Chelsea fans like myself and everyone else have been screaming out for Maresca to make subs earlier and actually use the bench. And tonight, he did that. I will caveat that by saying there's a couple of substitutes I would have made a little bit earlier. Personally, but hey, I am not the coach. I will praise him where it's due. He made all 5 subs tonight. Like I said, a couple been earlier. I would have probably brought on Felix a little bit earlier. Potentially Sancho, I think, was probably around the right time. Tyreek George getting minutes tonight is great in the Premier League. Would have brought him on just a touch earlier. But overall, he's used his substitutes. I don't know what he was drinking at half-time because he very rarely uses his substitutes, and if he does, it's usually 80 plus minutes in where the players don't have enough time to make an impact. But I feel like he managed the game very, very well to help us stay on top when we really needed something in the second half. I think bringing Sancho on really did change the game, as we mentioned earlier in the video. I think he's fantastic when he links up with Cucurella and Palmer. I think it's just completely different. I think Neto is a better player on the right-hand side, but I think Noni actually played pretty decent today. He got himself a goal. Even though it's a bit controversial, him nicking it off the line, but hey, a goal's a goal. He's on the score sheet, and I think he was doing a lot, being more very direct and trying to get the balls in the box. KDH, a lot of question marks over him from a lot of fans today. I think he did okay going forward, but defensively a bit ghost. And I think he could have come off a little bit earlier, maybe for someone like Felix. But overall, Maresca used the 5 subs, and I'll back that. I'll say, hey, you know, he needs to use the subs. he's used them. I could split hairs and go, oh, that one should have been earlier, that one should have been later, whatever. But overall, I'm happy that he's starting to use the bench and actually using it in the second half when players can have enough time, bar the ones past the 80 minute, to actually impact the game. So those are the 5 things that we learned from Chelsea 3, Wolves 1. Do you agree or do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. We have Man City at the weekend. It is a huge game and it is the perfect time for us to pick up a win just before and turn the tides of this dip in form. So hopefully we can go play Man City, give them a good game and get a result. And if you have watched this far to the end of the video, there'll be a thumbnail that pops up on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.